If you would have told me that a prequel show that nobody asked for, based off of a movie that nobody asked for, starring a character that nobody was really clamoring to see again, would be some of the best Star Wars in recent memory, I would have told you to go eat a shoe. But it's true. Andor is good. Like, really good. And the main reason for that is that it's different. We've been asking for Star Wars to expand and give us some diverse stories for years. Enough with the Jedi and Sith and lightsabers and the Force and the Skywalkers and legacy characters. This is a huge universe with limitless potential, and there are so many other stories you can tell. The Mandalorian was great because it does that. Kind of. Sometimes. It has some fan service, and relies on a lot of classical Star Wars imagery to catch your attention, but it mostly stands on its own. Andor does that even more. If you didn't tell me this was set in the Star Wars universe, I would think it's just a cool standalone sci-fi show. It doesn't rely on the Star Wars brand as much as shows like The Book of Boba Fett or Obi-Wan Kenobi. Don't get me wrong, it has the iconography. Blasters, spaceships, droids, Imperial credits, the threat of the Empire, parsecs, you know, usual Star Wars stuff. But it doesn't rely on overabundant fan service, Easter eggs, references, and regurgitated plot lines to pull you in. There aren't repainted R2 units or stormtroopers or lightsabers everywhere to make you go, oh, look at that. Now, there may be more of that in future episodes, but I like the distinct foundation these first three set up. Maybe my favorite thing about the show so far is that it's a small story. It's contained. The universe isn't in jeopardy, and there isn't any grave mission to save the soul of the galaxy. You don't even see the Empire yet. It's just a personal story about a guy on the run because he did a bad thing, and I find that immensely refreshing. We get time to develop his relationship with the people around him, and while some people are calling it boring, I really liked it. It is slow. It's a lot of walking around and talking, but it's enriching the character of Cassian by having him have these conversations with his mother or his droid or his ex-girlfriend. Conversations that really open up who he is and who he's been. They give time for these little moments to breathe. And there's only one big action scene in the entirety of the first three episodes. Much like Dune, it's not heavy on explosions and fight scenes. It's more of a methodical character study than an action-adventure show. But I'm sure that'll ramp up in future episodes. Maybe I enjoyed it so much because I expected nothing from this. I thought Andor was alright in Rogue One, but nothing special. A forgettable Han Solo wannabe, not a character worth exploring anymore. Plus, he's dead and we already know how his story ends, so why would I care if he's in peril in the past? It's the biggest problem with prequels in general. It's hard to write a compelling story with gripping stakes if you already know the end of the character's story, but I think they're doing the best they can. Already, within the first episode, he's become a far more interesting character than he ever was before. When he accidentally kills that guard, and the second one is pleading for his life, you can see the confliction on his face, wondering what he should do. He clearly doesn't want to kill him, but when he does, there's a quiet moment of hesitation and reflection as somber music plays in the background, and it really put you in the mindset of just how desperate this character is. He's not an honorable protagonist who will always find the morally right way to do things. He straight up killed two innocent men. Yeah, they were being dicks to him, but that didn't justify murdering them. He was in the wrong in that situation. And this show is kind of showing the perspective from both sides for once. It's not black and white, good and evil. You see what are usually the archetypal villains at their day job, just doing what they think is right. From Serial's perspective, he's a dutiful officer of the law and just wants to be thorough in his work. He views himself as a protector of the people, and after two of his officers were murdered, he just wants to find the guy who did it. He's not doing anything wrong per se, and I think it's an interesting dichotomy between him and Andor. The quote-unquote protagonist is a murdering, lying thief who who will use people and scheme his way through life, while the quote-unquote antagonist is a law-abiding, principled, non-violent man who cares about discipline and integrity. They kind of flip the script on that, and the fact that you're actively rooting for the bad guy is a testament to the great writing. I'm actually excited to see how their stories develop. But speaking of characters, they're all pretty good, if not really good. Diego Luna is bringing a more subtle emotion to the character this time around, and I like that you get bits and pieces of who he is by the people around him. He's that guy. You know that guy. The guy that owes everyone money all the time and is always asking for favors, and nobody really wants to be around because they know they're just a tool to him. Yeah, he's that guy, and I love seeing the effect he has on people. But you can see that he's trying to change. Circumstances just keep getting in the way. His droid is cool, and for once, it actually feels like his little brother, not just a pet or a plot device. His mother had some good interactions with him, his ex was okay, Stellan Skarsgård is good, but he hasn't had much to do yet, so I don't love him. And Cyril is actually a compelling villain. He's the kind of guy that Darth Vader would have choked out and thrown to the side in the original trilogy, and he doesn't get a lot of respect. But he's disciplined in his craft, and you gotta respect the dedication. And even though he seems so confident and so prepared to bring Andor to justice, when the time came, when the shit hit the fan, he became a whimpering coward. I'm interested to see where the plot takes him after bringing him to this low point of failure. And I think the show has a really interesting message about refugees and immigrants. Cassian was forced to flee his home because of the emergence of the Empire, and it wasn't even his choice. Was his mother morally justified when she took him? Did she have the right to even make that choice? Well, she thought she was justified, but we see how his life turns out. Having to start from nothing, change his name, lie about his past, scheme and rummage through the lowest parts of Ferrix to survive. Much like a lot of real-life immigrants who had to flee their country throughout the decades and start again. It makes you have compassion and understanding for people who steal and do immoral things just so they can eat and live. It's diverse storytelling without hitting you over the head with the message. And it goes without saying, but this show is gorgeous. The lighting is dynamic, the sets actually look tangible, the cinematography is tremendous, and the show really knows how to immerse you into this grimy underbelly of the Star Wars universe. I think they tried that in Solo, but this show really nails that aesthetic. And the music is amazing. It doesn't have that usual Star Wars orchestral feel to it, but it tries new sounds and achieves some really haunting and beautiful melodies. And when you combine all of these elements, an interesting character, good writing, stunning visuals, beautiful music, engaging plot with different perspectives, nuanced emotion, and great acting, you get a really compelling show, Star Wars or not. The fact that it's in this universe is just the cherry on top. Now, I did have a few gripes with the show. It wasn't perfect. The constant flashbacks to Cassian's childhood were too much. They extended this one sequence over 3 episodes, and I think the same effect could have been achieved in a 5 or 10 minute flashback. All at once. Okay, he's walking in a jungle. Okay, he's doing it again. Okay, he finds a ship. Okay, his tribe is slowly walking again. We get it. It felt like they stretched it out a little too long. And the side plot with his ex-girlfriend's current boyfriend felt unneeded. There's already enough tension with Cassian trying to find his sister and owing every person in town money, so I didn't really care about her jealous boo thing. Tim is literally only there to expose Andor and kickstart the plot. Then he just dies. It felt a bit like filler, and his sole purpose was to be a plot device. And I am a little confused about the town ringing all of those metal objects. Like, why did they do that? It was some kind of signal, and the entire town starts scrambling and evacuating the moment it happened. Is that something they do every time these mall cops come down to their planet? Were they sending some kind of signal to Cassian? Were they trying to intimidate the officers? Or were they stalling? nothing. I genuinely don't know why they were doing that. One guy looks at the cops as if they're nothing. Ah, look, the blues are here. But when the first guy starts banging that metal instrument, everyone starts to do it. So I assume it was in some way related to protecting Cassian or something, which doesn't make sense because the entire town seems to hate him. But now they're all banding together for him? I genuinely don't know. Please tell me in the comments what the hell that scene meant, because it either went right over my head or I missed something. But yeah, a few wasted moments, plot conveniences, slow pacing, a couple of cheesy lines here and there. There are a few problems, but the good in the show far outweighs the bad. It's not an action-packed blast like some people might want, but it's good in spite of that. It takes its time developing a rich story that doesn't rely on mind-blowing cameos to be good. It stands on its own as a meticulously crafted work of science fiction. I personally like The Mandalorian more, but this might be the most well-made live-action Star Wars project of the Disney era. If they keep this up, this might turn out to be a really special show. Alright guys, what did you think about Andor? Do you agree that it's a really good character study? Or was it a boring slog that put you to sleep? Does it seem better than it really is because the expectations were so low? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe and hit that notification bell if you want to keep up with all my future content. And until we meet again, peace out.